Legal proceedings generally take years to be completed and are often far from ineligible to the average citizen. As a result, legal protection tends to remain beyond the effective reach of the people, mostly the poor. Not only have the courts become inaccessible and unaffordable for a large portion of our population, but the inordinately slow justice delivery system has shaken the faith of our citizens in our judicial system itself. Those at the receiving end of the system obviously end up suffering terrible injustice. The question we have to ask ourselves in this unhappy scenario, where lies the fault, or rather what went wrong? Every citizen in a democracy must concern himself or herself with the ways the affairs of the state are managed and consciously associate himself or herself with the democratic process. J.S. Mill's wise words that eternal vigilance is the price of liberty must be understood in this context. Only if we pay adequate attention to public affairs, those at the helm of affairs would tend to be responsible, helping to create the conditions for good governance, and otherwise, when the citizen is indifferent, on which I stress, if the citizen is indifferent towards what is happening around him, those managing public affairs are likely to become sloppy and somnolent. But when things go wrong, we are ready to indulge in the blame game, accusing almost everybody around except ourselves. The various aberrations in our political functioning are matters that should worry all responsible and sensitive citizens. Though the right to dissent is one of the basic features of democracy, difference of opinion should never be equated with hostility. The ruling and opposition parties in Parliament and in the state legislature should see themselves as partners in the consolidation of the democratic process. All our democratic institutions need to demonstrate a greater degree of sensitivity and responsiveness to the growing disenchantment and apathy among our people with different aspects of our national life, particularly our political life. Divisive and communal politics will have to give way to broad-based political agenda. Consensus, not confrontation, has to be the basic philosophy of our political engagement. I have been repeatedly trying to impress upon all concerned that parliamentary democracy can be strengthened only when all the institutions that constitute our governance structure perform at their best, keeping the interests of the people and the country in mind and in conformity with our constitution. To consolidate our system of governance, all constitutional bodies and institutions should function in harmony and in conformity with the fundamental law of the land. The legislature must reflect the urges and aspirations of the people and the larger national causes as opposed to narrow partisan and parochial issues. The executive, which would include all of it, should effectively and successfully address the concerns of the people. And the judiciary, as an independent arbiter, must dispense speedy and inexpensive justice to every section of our society. Our Constitution does not provide for a super organ, nor does it contemplate encroachment by any one organ into areas demarcated for others under any assumed superior authority, which only creates distortions in the system. I have appealed to the media that while trying to expose the misdeeds and corrupt practices of public authorities, including people's representatives, it should do well to report their commendable initiatives and achievements as well. No organ or authority should place itself in a manner undermining the collective will of the people's representative body. Everyone associated with democratic institutions at different levels, the political leadership, the bureaucracy, the media, the judiciary, and above all the political parties, have to work together keeping the larger interests of the people in mind to safeguard parliamentary democracy from the tremendous strains experienced today and to further strengthen it in the years to come. What is of the utmost importance is that political parties, both national and regional, must develop a core national perspective so that the consensus can be built on issues affecting public interest. We must have common national minimum program, as has been aptly suggested by Professor M.S. Swaminathan. If we have to sustain and reinforce our people's faith in the democratic institution, we have to realize the imperative of integrity and honesty in our public lives and in our public service. We need to seriously think about and address the issues of corruption, criminalization and the communalization of politics, the vicious role being played by money and muscle power, inadequate representation of women, and growing signs of bigotry and intolerance in our society. Today we need statesmen. We need visionaries. We need sagacious leadership to steer the ship of the nation, to come out of our society. Our endeavor should be to carry all sections of our people with us in the task of working a democratic system. The institutions of governance, particularly the legislature, the executive and the judiciary, along with a watchful media, public-spirited civil service, and a vigilant civil society can all be collaborative partners in this national endeavor to uphold parliamentary democracy and to consolidate. Concerned as we are with we all are with the future of our country, its prospects, its ability to fulfill the avowed mission of securing the all-round development as envisioned in the Constitution and thus earning a place of honor among the Committee of Nations, we all have to introspect and collectively explore the ways and means to address the challenges before our country today. A time has come when all sections of the people have to consider very seriously how a country like ours, which is great heritage and civilization, with the magnificent history of its freedom struggle, and so with the great talent of our people, should come out of the present infirmities in the system and focus all our energies for effective democratic consolidation and to achieve all-round development at a faster pace. Given the will, we can surely do as this nation has shown in diverse areas like science and technology, in information technology, in the pulsating system of self-government, and in achieving a steady overall economic growth, apart from maintaining the basic foundation of our democratic system. My young friends, you have with perception, knowledge and commitment chosen service to the people as your mission in life. Not only as your evocation or source of livelihood. I believe nothing will give you greater satisfaction than serving the interest of the people and of the country in diverse spheres of our national activities, both internal and external. Your success can bring smile in the faces of our boys and girls, men and women, and can help in wiping the tears from the eyes of those who are deprived, as Gandhiji had expected. Your journey is smooth as you will wish, because of many imponderables and hurdles. But I know that ultimately it is the honest,